Hello and welcome to another episode of the Tejano Traveler Adventures here on YouTube. I've been having fun doing these videos, learning a lot about Texas history, continuing this Texas Independence Trail. Today we're doing the lower loop of the Texas Independence Trail. There's a lot of little museums that I've visited and would love to tell you about. The first one is the Longhorn Museum in Pleasanton, Texas, just south of San Antonio. Hey, kitty. Once again, it's pretty much just a taxidermy museum, but they've got some good specimens there. I like the lions and that vicious-looking hippo up there. It also showcases some barbed wire history, some Longhorn history. It's got some cattle trail brands. We got some things from the past that the cowboys used to use. A lot of their equipment, belongings, some artwork, the tools of the trade, and of course some longhorns. Now, the longhorns were first brought over by Columbus, and eventually they made their way to Mexico and Texas. And then once the Spaniards just decided, you know what, Texas is way too hard of a place, they pretty much abandoned them until much later. They realized these cows were pretty hardy and didn't need anybody taking care of them. So they multiplied and multiplied, and they were here by the thousands by the time the Spaniards came back and started being cowboys and vaqueros. That's Bigfoot Wallace, by the way. Here we see a lot of deer. They all look the same to me. I don't know. I don't know anything about deers. And this white deer, which is appropriately labeled a freak deer. I thought that was funny. It's my pal lion. Like I said, there's wagons and the hearse that you saw earlier. And some other memorabilia. It's good to look through. It's pretty much like an antique store where you can't buy any of the antiques, which I kind of like. And of course, it's got a nice taxidermy longhorn. Look at those horns. They're awesome. Another part of the museum has some guy's windmill collection. I love collections, especially of uncommon objects. And this guy's collection, he just started collecting windmills. So they're stored in a warehouse. If you want to learn more about windmills, this is the place. But I love people's little obsessions, and I love being able to see them. I also have an old train depot that you can walk through. Try to make it look like it used to back then. In the old times, you can walk around it. There's also a caboose you can walk through. It's all a pretty nice little museum in Pleasanton, Texas. My next stop was at Panna Maria, Texas. It is the home of Polish immigration. That's where they started immigrating. That is Father Maksagemba. I think I said his name right. But he's the priest that brought the first Polish explorers and immigrants to Texas. They eventually settled in Panna Maria, Texas, and they built their church. This here is a beautiful church. I consider it part of the painted churches of Texas. Other people don't. Some do. But it's a pretty church. We've got a nice picture of the Virgin Mary. Awesome stained windows. It's sort of out in the middle of nowhere. I mean, Panna Maria really isn't a town anymore. It's more like a ghost town. But the church is pretty well kept. It was pretty cool. It was a pretty cool stop, temperature-wise. After a day of driving around. Like I said, more stained glass windows. For it being in the middle of nowhere, this church is pretty well maintained. And eventually, I can't wait for it to open, but they have a Polish Heritage Center. It's supposed to open sometime in the fall of 2021. I have my fingers crossed. Then in Golia, we have El Camino Real Visitor Center. First, El Camino Real was a King's Road, Spanish King's Road that went from Mexico City up into Louisiana, back when Louisiana was part of the Spanish Empire. You can see some of the major stops and some of the major routes. It's got some really cool interactive activities. You can go there to learn more about El Camino Real. They have some old gardens there, and they try to showcase what a Spanish colonial home would have looked like. I always like the plazas, the gardens that they have, because Spanish gardens have a lot of pavement, or it's not a lawn, it's more like a big old plaza. You can see some of the inside, you can see how thick the walls were to retain the heat in the winter and keep it cool in the summer. Next stop was the Chisholm Heritage Museum in Quito, Texas. This was a pretty new museum to me. I've never seen it before, so I was excited to go to it. Good old Spurs. It's pretty much a cowboy museum. If you love cowboys, this is the place to go. When I was there, they had a lot of cowboy memorabilia from Spanish countries, such as Argentina, Bolivia, Mexico. But it mostly focuses on the Chisholm Trail that used to run from Texas up into Kansas, so they could deliver those Longhorns to the railroads. There's a chuck wagon. That's pretty awesome. That's where they kept all the food, all this delicious chili, I'm sure. And they have a short movie you can watch to learn more about the Chisholm Trail. I love Longhorns. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed seeing some of these smaller, lesser known museums. I hope you get a chance to visit. And thank you. Don't forget to like and subscribe.